fashion from 1920 to 1960, which is Malcolm's lifetime. Okay, starting with the 1920s, the women, their shape of the silhouette, there wasn't any. It was flat and straight, unlike most fashions, because most women, they have shape. They, show the hourglass shape, but in the 20s, it was non-existent. And their headwear, it was very tight to their head, like felt helmets, like in the bottom picture. And they put roses, buttons, ribbons, whatever they could put on the hats to make them decorative. Also their coats, lined with fur, like in the bottom picture, and big buttons. That was really popular too. Flappers, our perception is the left picture, and reality is the right picture. They were frowned upon for wearing a lot of makeup, and also they were the new breed of young Western women. They wore a lot of makeup, as I said, and short skirts, which that skirt is just shorter than everyone else's, so it's not really short. And they were seen to have tasteless appearances because they smoked, they drank, and they used sex in just like a casual manner. Men, their fashion is very unchanged. They had suits and the big coats. They're mostly dark colors like brown and blue. The casual look is the one on the right where you see he has like a flannel coat instead of the big one on the left. And they would wear hats to impress if they would go on a date or meet their date's parents. In 1920s, Malcolm was born May 19th, 1925, and Earl Little, this is just a picture of him, how he did fit the style in the 1920s. He had his fashion with his hat and his suit. Okay, 1930s. Women, they wore dresses everywhere. They had to wear them in the house, even while they were cooking and cleaning. It was just very important that they wore a dress. And they didn't show much skin. It was only their arms up to their shoulders. And they decided that they were no longer going to wear hats. And patterns were very big, like polka dots, flowers. And their hair was very close to their head still. Men, they had the complete package. Their package, it was like under $25, and you could buy a suit, a hat, 3 pairs of socks, 2 dress shirts, a tie, and shoes. That was all under $25. And the boxer look, or what the men would call it, is the Superman look. It was very in, and that meant like their clothes just had to be very tight-fitted, broad shoulders, and their trousers or pants would go all the way up to like the second button in his suit, to like the belly button, and would be pleated down the center and cuffed at the bottom. Kids in the 1930s would wear collars and buttons like the kids on the left. And in 1931, that's when Malcolm's dad died. And in 1938, Malcolm was enrolled in Pleasant Grove Elementary School until he was moved to junior middle school, where he had to live with the Johannans because he got taken away from his mother and the rest of his family. And this picture is cropped from his 4th grade photo. Okay, the 1940s, this is when the hourglass shape came to be, and pants and trousers were also for women that they came along because they had to go work in the factories and they couldn't be wearing dresses to work because it would get caught in the machinery. And first they had to wear their husband's clothes, and they thought that was really ugly. They didn't really want to do it, so then they made their own pants. And their dresses, they had padded shoulders, and their shirts would be knit to the waist, so it would make their hourglass shape even if you didn't have it. Men in the 40s, it was either a zoot suit, a normal suit, or military uniform, or Hawaiian uniform, or Hawaiian shirt. The zoot suit was worn mostly by young men and gangsters. The single suit was made by, or worn by men that were injured or couldn't fight in the war. A military uniform, obviously, if you were enrolled in the Army, like on leave or something, you would be wearing that. And Hawaiian shirt, after World War II, after Pearl Harbor, was really popular. And they were mostly, like, they were drawn to be on the shirt, so that's why they're all kind of ugly. And Malcolm wore his zoot suit and combed his hair. And in the 1940s, he was in Roxbury with Shorty. And when the men came home, the white men got their jobs back, and the white women got the jobs that they wanted because they didn't want to be housewives anymore. So then he went back to stealing, or he went to steal houses with Sophia and his gang. And then he went to jail, and he started writing Reginald and found the Nation of Islam. In 1950, this is the most clothes that we found that we wear today, like the pencil skirt and capris and shorts, and the long hair. This is where women started being more sporty and they could show more of their skin with the shorts. Suits and ties for men, they were still brown, blue, black. They didn't really show much color. And the Ivy League, which is the bottom right picture, that shows the preppy boy in school, or if you're going on a date, with the first date with a girl. And the cardigan sweater on the left is more what the casual kids would wear, and also it was a Letterman's jacket for men. They would put the letter on it. In August 1952, that's when Malcolm was released from prison at the age of 26. And in 1953, he was made assistant minister, and he changed his name from Little to X. And in 1954, he was appointed to head minister of the Temple No. 7 in New York. In 1958, he married Betty, and they had their first child later that day, or later that year. And 1959, Malcolm was head minister and head spokesman for the Nation of Islam. Okay, in the 1960s, this is where a lot of the fashion changed. For women, it was all fluorescent colors, like pink, yellow, and green. These colors obviously don't match, but in the 60s, if it was fluorescent, it matched. And for women with the suits, John F. Kennedy's wife, Jackie Kennedy, she's wearing a wool Chanel pink suit with a pillbox hat. And pretty much in the 60s, anything that Jackie Kennedy did, all the women wanted to do. She was the women role model of America. And for men, their ties and belts got wider. Their suits obviously had more decoration to them, like the one in the middle. And their collars got a lot wider. And sports suits or sport shirts were more common, like a polo. And then in 1960 was when they had their second child. And in 1962, they had their third. And in 1963 was the March on Washington. And 1964, they had their fourth daughter. Malcolm also met Martin Luther King in 1964 and separated from the Nation of Islam. Malcolm was assassinated February 21st, 1965. Oh, and they had their twin daughters later that year.
Okay, pass your sheet. Make sure you make comments on them. Okay.